I have to ask you this. 32 years old, we know that you tore your Achilles. You came back and still were able to play in 2 All-Star games. We asked this because of Kobe Bryant, 35 years old, tore it in April. He's trying to come back maybe this Friday. Only you could speak to what he's going to have to go through.
Well, it's been, I think, 9 months since he tore his Achilles.
Not quite.
Not quite 9 months.
Almost, yeah.
But it takes a while. It takes a while to really get back into game form. You know, he's been practicing. But if anybody can come back from this injury, he can, because his competitive drive and his nature of just wanting to win and play back, he loves to play. And so it makes it a little easier for a guy like him to come back. Now, there's a lot of guys who've tried, but it was towards the end of their career, and that's basically conceded, you know, being injured and, you know, kind of moved on from that. But, you know, I was very determined, you know, when I hurt mine. I said, because you had all the doctors said, you know, he's done, it's over with, he's too old, and if he come back, he won't be the same. And I remember saying, you know what, not only am I going to come back, but I'm going to be better than ever. And they're like, yeah, okay, good luck. You know, it's kind of a sarcastic type of pat on the back, but I ended up coming back having my best all-around year that next year, almost averaged 30 a game.
I'm wondering how much more difficult would it have been for you compared to Kobe, because obviously your game was a lot about athleticism. You were the human highlight film. You've dunked on many of people, okay? But you look at Kobe, even though he can still do that, years ago he stepped away from that. And he's basically somebody who's the success of his offensive game is predicated on his ability to shoot the perimeter shots. How much tougher or how much easier is it going to be for him compared to what your challenge is?
I tell you what makes it kind of interesting, that Achilles tendon injury forces you to play the game on the ground as well as in the air. And that means come more fundamentally sound. And Kobe being a fundamentally sound guy anyway, it's going to be easy for him to make the adjustment. And I had to kind of step away from that. Even before I tore my Achilles tendon, I had to learn how to play on the game on the ground as well as in the air with the same consistency. So I knew that I could come back and be what I was before. But Kobe, he's got a competitive nature that you just don't see anymore. And so I think he'll come back and he'll do well.
So how hard was it to trust your explosion off that repaired Achilles as far as jumping in, just your quickness?
You know what? You had to get it out of your head that if you turn a certain way, if you come down a certain way, you had to get out of your head that you might injure it again. Because I remember going up in a game and I came down real hard and I immediately grabbed my leg, but there was no pain there. So I said to myself, I said, you know, if I pop this thing again, it's going to be on my own terms. I'm going to go full tilt. I'm not going to worry about it, and whatever happens, happens. So you got to get the thought out of your mind that you may hurt it again. But the explosion will be there, especially if you really rehab it and you strengthen it like you should. Because my right leg was stronger than my left when I came back. Because Achilles was 3 times thicker.
Right.
So it was stronger.
And I guess that's what I'm wondering about. Is it a situation where you come back and the injured Achilles, I mean, the repaired Achilles, you're actually stronger in that area once it's surgically repaired, or are you weaker forever in that regard?
You know what? You're weak in the beginning, but once you start your rehab, I mean, it seems like it's going to take a year or 2 to get back because it's a slow process. But once you get past that 3rd or 4th or 5th month, that strength starts to come back and end up being stronger than your other leg. Because I have more problems with my other Achilles than I do with the one that I tore. I have no problems at all, still to this day.
I'm going to change the subject.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yes.
I wanted to tell Dominique that one of the great sports events I ever attended and witnessed happened to be a dunk contest I saw in Dallas, Texas in 1986. Now, you lost to your little buddy Spud Webb, fair and square, I thought, but it was one of the great shows I have ever watched. You participated in 5 dunk contests. You beat the great Michael Jordan head-to-head, fair and square. Which brings us to LeBron James, the best player in pro basketball, who has yet to participate in a single dunk contest. You were 5 now, and he's still 0. What are your emotions and thoughts about that?
I would love to see him do it. I really would. I think the whole world would love to see LeBron get it. But I think this is the problem, I think, with the dunk contest now, that guys now don't get into dunk contests because I don't really know if they really enjoy competing against one another. You know, and because maybe they have so many other distractions, what have you, but he's probably going to go down one of the greatest athletes that never do the dunk contest. But I would personally love to see him do it. Like I said, it's so many distractions for these guys now. So there's a lot of things that they're doing that takes them away from that as well.
I'll get to that distraction in a second, but let me piggyback off of this man's question here, who just loves to pick on LeBron James.
I didn't pick on you.
But stop
I just stated the fact.
Just stop. Here's the problem. There was you. There was a Spud Webb. There was a Michael Jordan. There was Julius Erving, who was in dunk contest, but you had competition.
Yes.
I'm looking at the greatest player in the world, and I'm like, who's he supposed to go up against? I'm like, why are we calling him out when we see an abundance of other dudes who won't participate
But
as well?
But this is one thing I do agree with you, is that you got to set the right stage for him, too.
Right.
To have one of the great dunk contests, you got to get the absolute best players in the game with the athleticism to dunk to challenge him. I do agree with that, but those guys, again, I don't know if they want to compete against each other. So now LeBron's saying to himself, and I've talked to LeBron, it's just that it's not enough competition out there for him. Because the dunks he do in games or dunk contest games, you know. So he's a phenomenon, you know. But again, like you said, it's just not enough for that competition out there at one time so they can have a legitimate dunk contest.